the coolest thing I've seen personally. But man, I tell you what, that sphere was awesome.
I was out there for the Western States roofing event just a couple of weeks ago, right before you went
It was
to Vegas.
it was the weekend before.
Yeah, and my hotel room overlooked the sphere, and it was pretty incredible to see. I mean, there was times in the middle of the night where I actually just closed the blinds because it was just so bright.
Well, the
But
inside of it is better than the outside.
right, no doubt, man. That's it. You know what? I got to see the pictures and videos you posted, and I had gone to the iHeart Music Festival, and I got to see that. But man, I would have rather gone to the Sphere.
Yeah.
Um, you
It
know,
was,
so tell us a little bit about your background in roofing.
so I've been in roofing since, ironically enough, I know the date, October 7th of 2010.
Right.
So there was a big hailstorm in Phoenix, Arizona. My buddy called me and said, "Hey, you want to try? Do you want to try this?" I was like, "No, that sounds horrible. I don't want to knock on people's doors." I went from, but it was a good time because the housing market, totally crashed, and I went from six figures to no figures overnight. So this just everything, the stars aligned, and I went out to Arizona, and they handed me a box of contracts. Had no idea what I was doing, and they circled the BP maps where you go
Yeah.
in, and they got the folding maps because it was old school days. No hail trace or any of that stuff. So they circled a map and said, "Go here," and I went, and ironically enough, I sold in the first 3 days. I sold 19 roofs, and they said, "Okay, you probably are going to be good at this," and here we are today.
Yeah, I remember the first day I started as well was the Plano storm back in 2015, March the 18th, and I remember walking into LC's office that first day, and yeah, man, you never know what you're getting into in this industry or where you're going or if this was really what you were destined to do. But here we are, 10
Yeah.
years later, 15 for you almost.
Yep.
So, but do you read any books, man?
So I've got a book here I'm reading, and this is the book I'm reading right now.
Traction.
This is by old Jackie Ware. So
Yeah.
she's getting into human development, things like that, and being a leader, et cetera, et cetera. So
Sure.
shout out to Jackie Ware and what she's doing. So I'm a part of her group and trying to get better at what I do.
Yeah, she helped me one time as well. Or I always have been friends with Jackie as well. She's so great. But she's been doing the personality testing and stuff like that. And I found out that I was just like TJ is. So but yeah, no, we're out here forging and make sure that we're growing. But yeah, no, I'd love to read that book too. I didn't know that she had that out yet.
Yeah.
But do you guys do any type of specific type of marketing for what you do? I know you do residential and the HOA, but is there a way that you go after those, or is there?
Yeah, so I've got, I consider myself a marketer first and foremost.
Yeah.
There's a difference between sales and marketing
Yeah.
and roofing.
Yeah.
So my primary thing is I am a marketing person.
Sure.
As far as my marketing goes, I don't give away all the secrets, of course, of what I do and how I do what I do.
Sure. Of
But
course.
as far as how, I'm a big proponent of saying FaceTime is sales time. If you can't get in front of somebody, like a lot of people are like, "Hey, how do you do this?" And they're like, "Do you just send LinkedIn stuff?" No, I don't do any of that stuff. When when you get IMs from, 40 different marketing companies every freaking day,
Yeah.
hey, I'll give you 30 guaranteed leads. Nobody gives a shit. Let's be honest.
Right.
So FaceTime is sales time. And if you can't get in front of somebody, that's my whole thing is I have canvassing people that are really responsible for getting me in front of people. And if I can't get in front of people, they're not doing their job. Their job is to get me in front of people where I can try to sell what I sell. And usually when I get in front of a group of people, I found that HOAs are more conducive to what I sell than multifamily retail. Multifamily retail is a cutthroat business where people are just,
for sure.
It's a race to the bottom.
Yeah.
And it sucks. So I'm not trying to sell stuff for, I got people I got a company out of Ohio that's trying to bid down here for $300 a square, and it sucks. It just crushes the market where, most of the stuff that I sell is over 500 a square now. And this market in South Carolina is a pretty aggressive number. Yeah. And I'm not trying to sell cheap. I'm trying to sell quality.
Yeah, for sure. Are you guys finding it hard to make those big sales right now? No, lots of work to be had in that area.
Yeah. I just got one the other day. It's 2,550 squares. Lee Johnson has a guy that's worked for me he came on and worked with me in 2011. Yeah. And this business is all about relationships. So we've had a relationship since then. He only worked with me for a short period of time then, but he came back after I started my own firm. And he has this good customer that gave us an opportunity in Lynchburg, Virginia. So
wow,
that job is 2,550 squares. Oof. And it's 500, and I think the insurance payout's like $579 a square.
That's the biggest building in Lynchburg, I promise.
It's a big complex. There's I think there's 28 buildings there. Wow. So it's just fortunate that we're able to, but the production aspect of what we sell, the reason we're able to sell it so confidently is because I've done, I think I've done over 100 of these now. Yeah. The multifamilies, I've got it down pat with how the production works and how to take care of the customer during the process. And I rip it off like a Band-Aid where, 2,550 squares would normally take a company, 2 months to do. I'll be in and out of there in 2 weeks. I'm going to bring half of Mexico and it's done.
That's great. How do you stay motivated? Like day to day, besides money, right? Or what do you motivate yourself with?
At the end of the day, every time I sell something, and I preach this a lot on, social media. I don't have a big social media presence. I'm not like world famous TJ McCormack.
Oh man, whatever.
The world's greatest roofer, bro.
Yeah.
But I don't do that. But yeah. What I focus on is, every time I sell something, and I mean it with conviction, I help put food on the table of the supplier, yep. Of the guy that drives the truck, and the 30 to 40 people the workers that come out there and bust their ass. Because at the end of the day, when you really if you microanalyze what we do for a living, I'm a labor broker of Hispanic labor.
Yep.
And I'm a commodities broker of shingles. That's what we do. Right. And if you really analyze what we do, and it's important for me to be able to put food on their table. So I wear that on my shoulder where I've got to make sure that these hardworking dudes get their money. And I pay them really well. Most everybody's trying to cut down at, I think most of my competitors are paying $55, $65 a square for labor. The last job I just did, I paid $90 a square. I had to get it done quick. It was a more difficult roof, and all the power to them. These guys are what I sell. I sell them. I don't sell me. I sell them. I've got the hardest working crews on earth, and without the Hispanic labor force that we have in this country would go to shit.
Well, I mean, we're seeing it here in Florida right now already because of the legislation that they installed here. But there's it's not that cheap in some other places in the country either because good labor is hard to come by.
100%.
I mean, everybody's a roofer until it's time to put the roof on, and then you see who's the roofer is.
Yeah.
So, but exactly. I consider you a roofing expert, right? And but at the same time, I often ask myself, how many seminars do I have to go to? How many trainings? How many times do I have to go to school to educate myself? What do you do to educate and to gain more knowledge?
More of what I sell is not the roof. More of what I sell is the insurance process and knowing the ins and outs of the insurance process. And you know, I always tell people, hey, if I'm telling you there's damage, I'm your claims quarterback, and I'm going to get it approved. I will spend every single dollar that I have on your claim. There was a claim in Wilmington that my out was over $1 million to get this claim approved. By the time it was $1.28 million that I spent to get that claim approved. Yeah, it was obviously a really big claim with millions and millions of dollars, but they came out and said the hail was from 1989.
Wow.
And I'm like, what kind of Nostradamus weather report do you have?
Where the hell did that come from? That was from the storybooks, huh?
These dudes did a test square. These dudes did a test square, and it was a 1 foot by 1 foot test square with 2 hits in it. If you extrapolate that, it was like 132 hits in it, 10 by 10. I mean, it was total bullshit what they did. But I will say that Daly and Black, I gave them that claim, and they crushed it.
Nice.
Yeah.
I definitely have hung out with Daly and Black a couple times in my life. I saw Alex Kobe a couple weeks ago. Actually, I think I saw him last week at RCAT. But he definitely does a lot for them as well. But good shout out for Daly and Black. How are you using any type of technology in your roofing company?
So, Roofr is what I use for all the satellite measurements. I mean, if you look at Eagle View, it's $70, $80, and then you got Roofr, it's $10 or whatever. Sure. So I probably spend $1.9 zillion on Roofr. If you look at my account, everything's a complex. So, every building's $10, and a lot of the complexes I do are 20 buildings, so a couple $100 every day. Yeah. But I am very excited to actually. So our plan is at the end of this calendar year to rid ourselves of AccuLynx and their $8,000 monthly charge and go to Roofr.
That's awesome.
So we're excited to make that change. Obviously, timing is important. After daylight savings, we're going to try to implement that change because sales will obviously slow. About November 1st, but by January 1, we want to be full on Roofr. And that's nice. And you guys that are watching, just don't think that this is a shout out to TJ and Roofr or anything like that. I'm not selling shit. I'm just speaking truth.
Yeah, those, I really appreciate that, of course, right? And that wasn't scripted at all, but we get that quite a bit, and it's great to hear from people like yourself, because we have worked so hard to get to the roofers and get them what they actually need instead of all of the other stuff that's breaking the bank. Mm-hmm. It's great to hear, man.
Well, think about it from this context, TJ. Yeah. So if I'm spending $90,000 a year on AccuLynx, but I'm spending $5,000 a year on your stuff, and I don't even know what your stuff costs. I just know I'm going to use it because it's cheaper, right?
Right.
I'm going to hire one person to offset that. So one person gets a very high-paying quality job because of your software.
That's great to hear.
I always think about other people. I'm not thinking about myself. I'm thinking about other people and how I can give people good jobs.
Yeah.
And that makes a difference. It really does. That at the bottom line, I could either keep that myself, but I'm not here, I'm obviously going to make money. Let there be no doubt. I'm here to make money. But at the end of the day, that $85,000 is just a savings off the top. So why not hire someone to be able to sell more stuff so I can make more money?
Right. Take more of that load off of you, or even invest it into doing more for your company. And you know what? That's great to hear, man. We really want to help those mom and pops out there, that are really have been writing everything down on a napkin or a dirty spindle board or whatever. Here he comes.
I still got folders, bro.
Manila folders, man. You know how many times I've pulled out a Manila folder and been like, dang, I don't have the proper paperwork in my Manila folder. But yeah, no doubt, man. Well, tell me what's next for your company. What are you guys doing, in the next year or so?
So we're really getting in the commercial space a little bit. I just sold, Jack Hanks called me. He had a really big loss in Charlotte. And when Jack called me, he's like, "Hey, can you do something? Can you be out here?" And I'm on my way. I'm on an airplane. I was like, "Okay." So anyway, I went out to Charlotte. It's about an hour. It was about an hour and 45 minutes away, and I met him in Charlotte. It was a pretty big fire loss on a commercial complex, and that's part of the network. And I will say, I know that you don't like that last year's SVG thing was pretty bad. I think we'll all agree with that. That I think that the conferences before that really hurt the SVG conference. But most of my network, even you, TJ, all came from that. So we have to sit and thank Anthony for that, right?
Sure.
Even though last year's conference was not a great hit. But at the end of the day, most of us came together because of the SVG network. So I'll give a shout out to that. And Jack Hanks, I met through that network, and he gave me an opportunity. And it's almost $1 million claim where he didn't have anybody to do the work, and I got awarded the coding job. So it was I bid to replace the metal panels.
Yeah,
it ended up the settlement wasn't enough to replace everything, which is fine. So it's a big coding job, but that's part of the network. If you guys work a network and you actually take care of your customers and you take care of people around you, you'll be surprised about how vast your network can get. And a lot of the jobs that I do get are from the network because they know I'll treat the customer right. And it's not about money to me. It is about money, but at the end of the day, it's about doing the right thing before it comes to money.
Yeah, a lot of times, people call me the connector, and that's just because we know we know so many people, and we did meet them all at SVG. Like that's a true statement.
I know you were pissed last year, and I know I was too. It was just like, man, I flew down here, and I think that what was the conference that was in Dallas right before that?
The SRC or IRE,
wherever the IRE was, it was like
Dallas,
and that I think that really hurt the showing. But I think that Anthony might have a good showing. And again, this is not preaching for Anthony by any means, but I think him moving it to Nashville next year might be a good thing. I don't know. We'll see.
We'll see. But somebody, I don't know who just asked this, but they said, "Who is your favorite PA?" I mean, you don't have to answer this because
so as far as my favorite PA goes, that's a great question. Jack Hanks is a great guy. And I'm appreciative of him. Ironically enough, I just got 14 multifamily complexes in the greater Charlotte area that just signed last week, and I'm giving them all to Jack. 14 of them that they own 38 apartment complexes, and they had me go out and inspect all of them, and 14 of them had legit damage. So I'm giving all those to Jack. However, there is another PA that I use quite often, and it's Angel Marcato. He's out of Dallas, Texas. He owns MBA Adjusters, and he is one of the most intelligent, great friends in this industry. And I met him through Evan Wolf. Evan Wolf's an attorney out of Denver. And every time Evan got into anything that he couldn't handle, which is quite often, nothing against Evan. Evan's a great guy. But he can only go so far because of how the bar rules work. So as soon as it hit a roadblock, it'd get kicked to Angel Marcato or Rick Daly. But Angel Marcato, man, he's a superstar. I love that guy to death. So I would say Angel Marcato and Jack Hanks are great.
Yeah, Jack and I run the Public Insurance Adjuster Forum group, and then also the Florida Roofing Collaboration group. And I love Jack. I love Chris Kerrville. I love what they're doing with the United Claims Professionals. There's so many great organizations out there, but those key players like Jack, and then Frank Dalton and some other players out there that Angel Marcato, that really make that part of the industry great. Because they're sometimes public adjusters get bad names like roofers do, and
I've had some bad experience with some public adjusters.
Yeah, I think we all have.
I don't like to use. First off, I don't like to use public adjusters, right? And I speak frankly about that. But there is every claim, like as I said earlier in this cast, every claim I'm the claims quarterback. So I'm looking out to reduce costs and get the most money I can out of the claim. But if I have a PA and I've got a claim that I already know, like let's say it's with auto owners, for instance, it doesn't matter what a PA does. Auto owners is going to deny it. Even if you go to appraisal, they're going to deny it, right?
Yeah.
I got awarded an appraisal for $962,000. They already paid $350,000, and the appraisal was $962 or whatever, and they still denied the payout of the appraisal. So what did I have to do? I had to get an attorney involved, and so a lot of times with different carriers and depending upon the claim complexity, I'm the lawyer up from the beginning, because as soon as a PA hits a roadblock, they got to hire an attorney anyway. So might as well just negate that.
That's exactly what I've thought in the past, few years. I was working large loss for a while, and the PA could only do so much, and then they would always bring the lawyer themselves, and I was like, well, why did I bring you? But unless it's like a hit, knockout of the park, they can do it real quick, and we know that we're going to win. But you know what?
It's funny you mentioned that. So the last big claim that I had, I was gonna go PA, I was gonna go attorney, and then I looked at the damage. I knew it was there. Like they already opened coverage on, like they paid for this claim. It was in it was Halton Park, which is a community in Charlotte. The initial coverage was $338,000. They paid to repair basically every building, and it's a big ass complex. So I knew the shingles were discontinued. I knew they weren't repairable. And the smartest move I did is I called CNAC. I called John and I said, hey, John, I got, you preach all this stuff. And I didn't know him that well at the time. I said, you preach all this stuff. Why don't I fly you out here? You look at this thing and you tell me how to get this thing done without using PAs and attorneys. He's like, done. So, because he knew that it was a big claim.
Right.
So, he only took 60 days, and he took that claim for $338,000 to 1.12 or whatever it was.
Yeah.
And all he did was send novels. His emails are like 10 pages. Like I read like a paragraph. I'm like, God, this guy's a nerd. But he got the shit bought, and
shout out to my friends Matt Mulholland and John Sinek, the nerds.
He just out nerded him, and that was auto owners, and they're a tough carrier on multifamily.
Yeah. That it's great. There are some really intelligent people that know too much shit that the rest of us don't know. Jonathan Curry just said that this was fire. That's so great. Yeah, man, John is great. But Brian, I'm gonna wrap this up with you. Give us a piece of advice or some wisdom. You've been out here playing around for about 13 years, winning the game. Tell somebody else how they can win.
No, man, you have to. The one thing a lot of people job hop all the time. They're like, grass is greener. I can do this. I can go here. I can do this. Try to find your own. Find either you're working for yourself or you're working for someone else. I worked for the same company for a long time, and what I learned is it built my name where I wasn't Brian Arnold with this company or this company. I was still Brian Arnold. I hate to talk about myself in the third person. That's weird. But, when I was selling, I was building my brand, my reputation with the same company. It's hard if you keep job hopping with different companies, different things. I see people that are like, oh, this company did this or whatever. Find the right fit for you and stick with it until you have enough money to start your own. Like a lot of my competitors in the market that I'm in worked for me. Like, cool, great. I taught them how to be successful enough on their own to be able to start their own organization and have enough money to do it. But don't start a company if you're broke. But when I started this company, I spent well over $500,000 when I first started it to get it. I mean, I don't even know how many trucks I have right now.
So 430 for the LLC and, maybe make monthly payments to the general liability isn't good enough?
No. No, you got to have a bankroll to be able to do,
no doubt.
Work out of your house and do all that stuff and make a couple bucks. But if you want to be a real company versus, chucking a truck, you got to really have, a decent enough bankroll to be able to, and I'm not saying you got to be rich or anything to start your own firm. I'm just saying have the financial wherewithal to be able to take the ebbs and flows. I got a good story. There's a company called the Roofing Company here locally. Good shout out to Michelle Russ for stealing people's checks after she went bankrupt 2 weeks ago. She stole almost $200,000 in people's front end money, didn't do the work. And now I know myself and a couple of my competitors, we're all out here giving away free roofs for people that got screwed by that person because they didn't have the financial wherewithal to be able to deal with the ebbs and flows of this business. You can't take people's ACV money and spend it on yourself or spend it on, machinery or trucks or any of that stuff. I had a bankroll, before I started this, where I could go into this business and have enough money to be able to deal with those ebbs and flows. Yeah. And that's where a lot of people screw up. They have two people to keep their checks and they're fucked. And they like, I can't make payroll or I can't freaking pay the supplier. Yeah. Man, that's not a good way to do business. And if you steal people's checks, if you steal people's money, you're a criminal. I don't care what it is. You can file bankruptcy and not go to jail and protect yourself. You're a thief. Yeah. And that's where I never want to have that happen. I want to be able to talk about that as an industry. If you get into this business and you take somebody's ACV money and you don't do the work, you should go to jail. But you're protected. It sucks. I don't understand it. But the other thing, back to your question, I get asked more often than not how to get into, how do you sell big shit? It takes a lot of time. When I started this business in 2010, I didn't sell my first big job until 2015. That's when I sold my first job that was $1 million job. I didn't sell my next one until 2017. And then after 2017, I made a lot of money and I spent all of my money on multifamily, all of it. Yeah. So I'm millions of dollars deep in marketing, advertising, building the relationships that I have where, one of the things that I'm a big proponent of, if you're friends with someone that's a decision maker, if you're close enough with someone as a true friendship, not a business, bullshit relationship, if you're truly someone's friend and you've built that relationship over years, they should feel so guilty if they give another roof to someone else. Yeah. That's what makes it different. That's where I've created that relationship where they would feel guilty if they gave another roof to someone else without me having a shot.
Man, that's great to hear that from you. We're going to be coming to Charlotte November the 1st, and Brian's going to be one of our main stage speakers with us that day, alongside Hunter Ballou, Elizabeth Calzadilla, Bob Marsh. I'll be speaking a little bit. But yeah, no, please come out just to hear Brian's knowledge. And but we'll be out there in Charlotte, and we'll look forward to seeing you, man.
Yeah, how's Hunter doing, by the way? I know somebody. I got a random text the other day. It said Hunter's. We're not friends on Facebook or anything. Somebody said he's. I like the guy. Somebody said he's got malaria.
Yeah, he's out of the hospital now. I had a call with Diego yesterday, or a live broadcast with Diego. And Hunter is out of the hospital. JP is still in the hospital. I think he was in ICU as of Monday. But a couple of those guys that went down there for the mission into Uganda got malaria. And you know what? I think that it humbled them a lot more, brought them a little closer to what they were trying to do. But, I think they're going to be okay. And we're looking forward to having Hunter to speak at that event. I was kind of scared that he wasn't, not for the fact that he wasn't going to be able to, but just for his health.
Did TC get sick? Wasn't TC back there too?
TC didn't get sick. It was just JP and Hunter got stung by a mosquito on the last day.
Gotcha.
So,
that sucks.
Yeah. Oh yeah, man. To go all week being there and then all of a sudden get stung.
I'm sure he's watching, but Hunter, I know we don't know each other very well, but I was thinking about you. Glad you're doing good.
Yeah, no doubt, man. And I know he'll appreciate that. But thank you guys. If you guys want to register for Rise, a Roofr Roadshow, coming to Charlotte, coming to San Antonio, Texas, coming to Savannah, Georgia, and Atlantic City, New Jersey at the end of this month and the beginning of November, go to roofr.com/rise. It's down there in the bottom of the screen, and register for your tickets today. It's only $25. The only reason we charge $25 is so we know how much food to get for people. But we really want to make sure that we have that number correct. But if you'll hold on just 1 second, Brian, we'll close it out, and then I'll see everybody tomorrow. I think I have 4 live broadcasts tomorrow. So hold on 1 second, Brian.
This was an incredible event.
And I highly recommend Roofr.